You are about to meet an amazing and inspirational guest that dedicates her life to helping others. Cheri Coley, a Denver area hospice nurse, is with many families as they prepare for the passing of a loved one. She will share her professional experience, but more importantly, she's here to share her personal story of loss after her son Jacob passed suddenly 5 years ago this week. Cheri turned to Horan McConaty to help her celebrate and create a celebration of life. Horan McConaty have been serving the Denver metro area community since 1890. President and CEO John Horan and his staff regularly earn a 99% satisfaction rating from the families that they serve. And I'm so happy to welcome John Horan. He joins us with the very beautiful Cheri. It's nice to see both of you.
It's nice to be here.
And thank you for being here to share your story about your son. And John, just hearing a little bit about Cheri's story, why do you believe so many people, when they're in a position like Cheri was, why do they choose your company?
Well, I think a lot of that is because of our reputation for handling dozens and dozens of details professionally. Most people don't know that Colorado is the only state that doesn't have standards for people who do this work. Anyone can hang a shingle, anyone can hold themselves out and call themselves a funeral director. And so my point is to encourage people to choose wisely, to do some research, and I'd like to think that we've earned a reputation for doing things extraordinarily well, and that's why we've grown to be the largest independent in Colorado.
And John, I'm glad you shared that too, because I had no idea, doing this show for 10 years, I had no idea that there wasn't any requirements like that.
Most people assume that there are minimum requirements. In 49 other states, yes, there are.
But not here.
Colorado. No.
Very interesting. And Cheri, you're a hospice nurse, correct? So you help families actually prepare for the end of their end of life journey. What should families begin to do if they have someone that's nearing the end of life?
I think it's very important to have an open dialogue and have critical conversations, hopefully well before the start of a life-ending prognosis. But to have those conversations about what our options are, what our wishes are, to have well thought out advance directives as far as our end-of-life choices, and to think about and share that gift with our family members about what we would want at the end of our lives, including our services and arrangements, in designating a medical and a financial proxy, and in having well documented and written proofs of those directives.
And as a hospice nurse, you know this, but you also know this from a personal tragedy. You lost your son 5 years ago?
Tomorrow will be 5 years since my son Jacob died.
I'm so sorry. How old was Jacob?
Thank you. He was 20.
20 years old. Very tragic.
It was a very tragic and sudden loss, and having worked in end-of-life care, I was very used to sacred undertakings and comfortable passages. But when a tragic loss suddenly struck us, we weren't prepared, number one, to lose a child,
yes,
because that's so out of order. But it was like being dropped into a foreign country. I consider ourselves very fortunate grievers, because working in the end-of-life care community, I had a network of our hospice families surrounding us with love and support. And having worked in end-of-life care, I had also had the opportunity to work with funeral provider services and knew what the options were.
And Horan McConaty actually helped you with the celebration of Jacob's life and did a wonderful job, and it helped you also emotionally, I think, to go through it. Let's take a listen. Let's watch.
Horan McConaty is so very different. They provided care and support that we so needed at such a time. As hard as it was to lose him, we've been able to move from a place of such intense pain and loss to a place of memory, a place of remembering all the fun times and the laughter and all the things that made Jacob unique. And with the help of Horan McConaty, we were able to put those things into memorial that I know Jake would have appreciated. And we were able to have a beautiful dove release We were able to have Jacob's music and have his videos there. And those were things that were so intimate and so personal that I don't believe any other mortuary could have pulled together for us.
Jake was a beautiful young man, gorgeous, and you mentioned that you were able to have his music there, which was important to him. Is this his instrument?
This is his dulcimer, and he was quite a master with it, and he recorded his own songs, and his music is really a legacy that is lasting, and
How
it's
very
important to
special.
us.
And for Horan McConaty to know that and to realize that and to be able to honor and to share that experience of Jake. How are you able to put something together so beautifully for the families who are mourning their loss?
Denise, we have to ask a lot of questions. And I think sometimes people come in with an attitude of a funeral has to look like this, or we're limited to these kinds of choices. And what my coworkers and I want to do is to draw people out and to learn about the person that died, to learn about the way that person interacted with the living, and look for ways to represent that at the services.
And you did that so well with Jacob, correct?
Absolutely tailored to services that honored his life, brought us healing, and it helped us become to not be so focused on how Jacob died, but rather how he lived.
Oh,
and it
that's so
really put us on truly a healing path through our pain and in order to heal through our grief.
I can tell, I mean, you have to be nurturing and loving and compassionate with what you do for a profession in life. But to go through what you did by losing your son, you can tell you needed that same compassion and love. Do you feel that Horan and McConaty they were able to show that to you?
Absolutely they did. And I knew without a doubt, by looking at all the different options, that I didn't want a standard service or a franchise type like affair,
Right.
or a sterile affair. I wanted to know that my son's body was in the care of respectful, kind, competent, and caring hands, first and foremost. And what I received was care that totally exceeded all of our expectations throughout the service and beyond.
And she just made a really valuable, strong point that you're a family-owned business. So it's like she didn't want a large chain, like she said. She wants a family to take care of her family who passed. That's important.
Well, I think it is, and most people don't realize that chains account for a lot of the choices that are available, especially in the Denver metro area. And we're proud to be family-owned.
And the financial benefits also to planning ahead. I mean, that's important. Of course, when it's a tragedy like this, you can't plan for something, but I guess you never know when you're going to die. So it is smart to plan ahead, and you actually help people do that.
It is, and so anytime someone wants to talk about this, we sit down, we can put their wishes down in writing. If they wish to select goods and services and pay for that in advance, it locks in today's cost, and so it's never more expensive in the future. And when a death occurs, the survivors have this peace. They can focus on their grief, all the other things that are going on at that time, and not be so focused on dozens and dozens of details and how are we going to pay for this and all that sort of thing. It's already been done.
Well, thank you for taking care of Cheri's family, and thank you for sharing your story, too. You can tell that you've gone through so much, but I really appreciate it. God bless you. And I know you're helping others out there watching today who's going through life like this.
It's all about shining a light of healing hope for others along the path.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
for that, it's quite an honor.
That's that's what my husband says to me every day, and he tells our boys, shine, shine. And I understand, you understand what that means.
And that's a beautiful takeaway message.
You're a
Thank you.
sweetheart. Thank you. As you just heard from Cheri, life can throw unexpected events at all of us, and she reminds us all that it's so important to pre-plan. Now, this can help families with the emotional and financial burden during a very, very difficult time. Horan McConaty is Colorado's most preferred locally owned cremation, burial, and pre-planning provider. Their website is horancares.com. That's horancares.com, and they do have a full list of services and resources, including grief support. You can also call right now, 303-743 303-743-8804. That's 303-743-8804. Ask for their Live Well, Leave Well planning guide and DVD. And just mention you saw them right here on Colorado and Company. Be sure to do that. It's Horan and McConaty, and they paid for this segment.